Well, welcome, friends, to another edition of More Bad News, brought to you, as always, by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camels Challenge. Smoke Camels for 30 days and see for yourself what a difference Camels can make in your life. Well, my friends, it's been another week of very bad news. For me in particular, last week I learned that one of my former students, Sergio Haladyna, died. He died tragically young at 48. His sister wrote to me that my brother loved you as a professor. Thank you for making such an impression on his soul. You know, when tragedy strikes in Turkey and Syria far away, one can be moved by the suffering. But it is so far away and so massive that the mind and the soul can have a hard time really internalizing the enormity of the suffering involved. But sometimes the bad news is close to the bone, and there is no escape from the tears and the wrenching pain. And that is the bad news that I have this week. One of the most painful experiences a parent can have is burying a child. We expect our children to bury us. The last thing we want to do is see them die young. The Talmud says that students are like our children, the offspring of our spirit. And that is certainly true of Sergio. As his sister said, I made an impression on his soul. Sergio was my student from 1997 to 2000, and he took my course on the history of racism in America. As a film major, he produced a short entitled Sweet Exile, which is available on YouTube. Let me get that up for you. Share my screen first. Okay, share, and here it is. So here's the Sergio Sweet Exile. You can find it on YouTube. I'm not going to really play it. I just wanted to show it to you. And I guess I can stop the share there. So in this 22-minute short, he expresses his anger at white supremacy, focusing on a fictional eugenicist who he and a group of anarchists have planned to murder in an act of propaganda by the deed. The anarchist Michael Bakunin stated in 1870 that, quote, we must spread our principles not with words but with deeds. And the anarchists took this to mean assassinations and bombings. For Sergio, this was a fantasy expressing anger at injustice. In fact, he chose to work for social justice through community organizing, and he devoted his life to the struggle for justice. Watching his video for the first time, I realized one of the greatest failures of my career. I used to quip that my American history class began with genocide and went downhill from there. One of my students commented on social media that Dr. Mehler never misses an opportunity to piss on America. At one point during the Iraq War, I had an entire class walk out on me for playing Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11. After the pandemic, in my last year of teaching, I had a young single mom take my course in genocide. She cried many times through the semester as the unrelenting documentaries demonstrated the reality of genocide. She was not a history major, she was in hospitality management, but by the end of the semester, she had applied for a graduate program in genocide studies and wanted to work with refugees. On the one hand, I was proud of myself for having had such a deep impact on the student. I had literally changed the course of her life. But I also wondered what I had done to this young mother. Would her life be better for the torment and trauma that I exposed her to? And what had I done to help my students cope with the trauma that I imposed upon them? One of my best students graduated summa cum laude and ended up in federal prison after throwing a pie at a senator's face. Well, he got out of prison. He wasn't in for very long. He was fine, working for social justice. But I want to make it clear that Sergio did not commit suicide, but his death was tragic, and those of us who loved him can't help but feel a sense of guilt. So all this makes me wonder how to proceed with more bad news. My father used to say we live in hope, but I live without hope. I have given up hope, and I have found peace with that. But one of my students recently said to me, I cannot accept that there is no God because I cannot live in a universe where there is no justice. I cannot live in a world where evil flourishes and the good die young. I just don't know how to protect those that I love from despair. Well, that's it for this first part of this week's edition. It's going to be in two parts. I just wanted to do this memorial to Sergio, and part two will follow immediately. I'm going to start a new video, and I'll post both of them today. And part two will be the Negro in the American Revolution. Stay tuned, and don't forget to smoke camels, take the Camels Challenge, and I'll see you next week.